Hello, you're very welcome. Today I'll be speaking about an Earth Holder's Bodhisattva Mindfulness Retreat in a Benedictine monastery nearby. This was led by Larry Ward and Peggy Rowe, founders of the Lotus Institute, which I'll put a link to down below, and thanks to the organization by Laura, Jorge, and Normainés. So let me just start with a little bit of vocabulary. What is a bodhisattva? So here is Google's definition. Although the practice of mindfulness is secular, the more you practice, the more you become familiar with these Buddhist terms, because it is originally a Buddhist practice, and so bodhisattvas become part of your everyday vocabulary, and the more you practice, the more you become familiar with some bodhisattvas. So the purpose of this video is to just give you an overview of what a spiritual retreat is like. What happens in a spiritual retreat? What do we do all day? Do we just sit in mindfulness all day? No. The answer is no, we don't. So let me just walk you through it. Here is a little bit of footage from my journey from my house to the monastery, which is about an hour away from my home. And as I arrived into the town where the monastery is, there was some kind of event, popular cultural event going on, so I was stuck in a little bit of a traffic jam. And then immediately after this, I turned right and left and up a little hill, and suddenly I found myself in the monastery. And you can tell straight away how peaceful and quiet it is in this place. So upon arrival, I saw that there were many people there that I already knew, and it was so nice to say hello and to get the key to my room. This is the first time that I attend a mindfulness retreat and I have a room to myself. So this was total luxury. And here is the corridor I had to walk down to get to my room, down some stairs, and then number 17. Number 17 is an important number for me. So it was wonderful to have been assigned number 17 because it brings to mind my mother who became ill when I was 17. And so, you know, we all have ages that mark us, and 17 is definitely one of those ages for me. And this is the room that I got. And here, this is the inside. Isn't it wonderful? That same evening, we all gathered together and had dinner. And then after a delicious, nutritious, fresh, abundant meal, just as all meals were like this, absolutely delicious, fresh food. After this, we had a gathering where Larry Ward gave us a kind of orientation about what the retreat would be about. And so in this video, because I don't have time to share with you all of my notes and everything that I took in from Larry's wonderful talks, he's a wonderful poet and preacher. And I will put a link below to the Lotus Institute, which he founded together with his wife Peggy Rowe, and also to a wonderful TED talk that I found of his. So please watch, explore. This is such a wonderful opportunity now that we're confined. Let's nurture ourselves with wholesome, fascinating information. So in that wonderful gathering that first evening, Larry spoke about waking up and waking down. So what does this mean? It means that many of us have heard of mindfulness as a way of waking up, you know, and we have this idea that when we wake up, we're kind of you know, celestial beings, and we become, you know, kind of ethereal and abstract almost. But what Larry and Peggy were inviting us to do during this Earth Holders Retreat was to wake down as much as wake up. In yoga, we know that we stretch our body and we anchor to the earth, to the ground, and then we stretch up towards the sky and make that connection between earth and sky. So it was all about waking up, for sure, but also waking down, grounding ourselves, and honoring nature, honoring the land, honoring our ancestors, honoring our body, which is the earth. So that was our first talk, and it was quite the eye-opener. And then that was that for the first day. I'm just going to share with you now the timetable for the second day, and this timetable was very similar every day. So we had yoga lessons, we had an invitation to join in a Rosen method, body work, and movement session. We did eating meditation, we did walking meditation, and total relaxation, where we're all lying on the floor together, being led in a body scanning exercise, and it's absolutely wonderful. We should all do total relaxation more often. During this ceremony, Shun talked to us about the collaborative work in his community and the way that they use and apply alternative medicine, and the love that they cultivate towards life, and the equal respect between men and women. And so this ceremony was about giving us some beans. Everybody had 4 beans, and so we all faced the east first, and we honored fertility. So fertility not only in the sense of our capacity to reproduce, but also our creative skills, everything that we do to contribute to the well-being of ourselves and of others. And then from the east, we turned north, and in the north, we honored ancestral wisdom, everything that we have inherited from our ancestors, which is useful to us and to others. And then we turned west, and in the west we honored our good health and the good health of others. And every time we turned to one of these points, we planted our seed in the diamond that had been made in the ground. And then we turned south and we honored peace. And it was so beautiful. Something else that happens usually during these retreats, or well, always, every retreat I've been to, is that in the last day, people who want to take the 5 mindfulness trainings are able to take them. And so there is also a beautiful ceremony. And here we can see Sister Peace and Sister Concentration dressed in those beautiful robes, and Peggy in the middle. The 3 of them are now handing out the certificates, and it's just such a beautiful ceremony. When I took mine 6 years ago, it was probably the deepest commitment that I have ever made in my life. There was so much going on that I can't really, put into words, but that day, when I bowed down and touched the earth, not once but many times, every time a training was read, we bowed down and touched the earth in gratitude. That it changed me. And I'm so happy that this practice has come into my life. And all of this in the context of this situation which is going on these days with the virus. And so when you're able to share in peace and honor the earth, then there isn't fear and anxiety. There was also a Dharma sharing circle. So everybody was assigned to a different smaller group, and those groups are called families. I was assigned to the mountain family led by the wonderful Sister Peace. And these are opportunities to share from the heart in smaller groups. And sometimes they're just free, so just share whatever you want. But on this occasion, Sister Peace invited us to share according to some prompts which she recommended. So, for example, let's share about one resource. So this resource can be a person, it can be a book, it can be a place, it can be a memory. A little bit about Larry's wonderful Dharma talks. These were 2-hour talks every day. And of course, there's absolutely no way that I can share with you everything he said in those 2 hours, but Larry is a poet and a wonderful orator. So the best I can do is to share with you just little bits and pieces that meant a lot to me and that I will be working with now during this time. So he talked about the 12 exercises of the Earth Holder Bodhisattva. This in the context of every bodhisattva having a series of exercises to follow, and these are written in the Buddhist scriptures. And so when Larry mentioned to Thich Nhat Hanh, our teacher, that there were no scriptures for the Earth Holder Bodhisattva, this was about 30 years ago, by the way. So Larry and Peggy have been students of Thich Nhat Hanh for decades longer than I have, and they worked very closely with him. They were good friends of his, and they saw him regularly and traveled with him, and so they have many stories to tell about their experience sharing time with Thich Nhat Hanh, whom we call Thai, or beloved teacher. So Larry said to Thai, there's no exercises for the Earth Holder Bodhisattva. And Thai said, well, in that case you must write them. And so that is what Larry is doing and has been doing over the last however many years. And he's come up with 12 exercises, and of course each of these exercises is so profound. I think I understood correctly when he said that there will be a whole course on Earth Holders Bodhisattvas, which will be imparted by the Lotus Institute. And so I think the first part is already available. And what he shared with us was kind of all this information that's going to take most of us about 2 years to process in 3 days. So of all that, I will share with you just a few things that I understood and that I took with me. The first one is the third exercise, which is freeing oneself of one's attachments. So in order to be an Earth Holder Bodhisattva, which is an aspiration, then one of the exercises is to free oneself of one's attachments. And it is the Bodhisattva's duty to do this. And it's something that I know in my heart I need to work on, is to free myself from my attachments. That doesn't mean that I stop caring about things. It means that I'm not bound by them in a way that generates suffering for myself and for others. And so this third exercise of freeing myself or freeing oneself from one's attachments is part of the Earth Holders Bodhisattva path. Another exercise, the fourth, I believe, is to see and recognize and acknowledge nature, because nature knows when it is being acknowledged. We know that when we take care of our plants and we talk to them and we water them and we cultivate them, then they flourish. Nature knows when it is being acknowledged and recognized. And so to see nature and to say, I see you. And then to recognize that nature, that beingness in others also. So looking at others and recognizing them and saying, I see you, is another of the Bodhisattva exercises. The question of embodiment also. Embodiment. What does that mean? It means bringing our mind into our body. I know this sounds very easy, and it's taken me quite some time to understand, and I'm not sure that I understand it fully yet, But what Thich says is that when mind and body are together, then we are truly present. Mind and body together. So an embodied mind. A mind that is with the body. And there are many exercises where we become aware of our body, and we smile to our body, and we relax our body, and we are constantly in touch with our body, because our bodies cannot be in the future, and our bodies cannot be in the past. Our bodies can only be in the present moment. So when we, with our mind, are in touch with our body, then we are truly in the present moment. So another of the exercises is to cultivate seeing or looking or having clear vision. This means cultivating a discerning mind. So this has to do with one of Thay's teachings about selective watering. Selective watering, which is an aspect of right diligence. So one thing is to make an effort. You know, many of us make an effort. If the effort that we make does not conduce to our well-being and the well-being of others, then it is not right effort. And so being aware of the effort that we make, where we place our, what intentions we create, and whether or not we place our attention on that intention, then this is part of cultivating a discerning mind. And the more we do this, the more discerning our mind is, the more we see very clearly that we are not separate from the earth. We are the earth, and we share this earth with so many countless beings, so many countless species, and also with plants, with rocks, minerals. All of the earth together is one. We're all sharing our existence here on Mother Earth. And so, what do I take away from this kind of experience? Well, I take deep teachings that support me, especially in these times when we are indoors. So, do I need to be outside? Do I need to be running around? No, I don't. I can use this time to put all of these new teachings into practice within myself, within my home. Something else that I take with me is a sense of belonging to a community that has the intention to be helpful and wholesome, which is a wonderful thing. And something else is that going to these retreats gives me a sense of purpose, a sense of responsibility towards myself, towards you, towards everybody who is around me. Something else that I take with me is a feeling of being grounded and free from the unpleasantness or the suffering of over-worrying or over-concern. And so if you were to ask me, what do you want to do on your next holiday? I will probably say, I want to go on a spiritual retreat. I just love everything about them. And I hope that this video is useful for you. Have you ever been on a spiritual retreat? Please share your experience. I'd love to hear from you. And check out the links below. And I'll see you soon. Bye for now.